Hello, friends. I hope that you're doing well. Before I get into the word this week, I do want to make mention of a few things. We do have a Maundy Thursday service coming up in person here at Faison United Methodist Church, and that will take place Thursday at 7 o'clock. Um, the main the main focus for that night will be in the sharing of Holy Communion with one another, and we do have the individual cups and the individual elements that we will be distributing at the beginning of the service. And again, that will be the focal point of our time together on Thursday. And then come Friday, we have the opportunity to carry the cross together through the town of Faison. For those of you who are around these parts, it is a visible witness to the community of what Good Friday is about. We don't want to show up on Easter Sunday without having experienced the fullness of the journey to Easter. And so Good Friday, as you know, is a very important part of the journey. And so we carry this wooden cross that is made out of our Chrismon tree. We carry that throughout the town as a visible reminder to the community, but also as a reminder to ourselves of what it is that we are participating in as the followers of the crucified one. And then on Saturday, we have plans for an egg hunt that will take place here on our property. If you have little ones ages 12 and under that would like to participate in that, I need to know as soon as possible so that we can plan accordingly and make good use of our space in a way that is safe and fun for all. So that egg hunt will take place at 1 o'clock on Saturday. We meet at 12 noon on Friday and 7 o'clock on Thursday for a somewhat busy Holy Week at Faison United Methodist Church, which will all culminate on Sunday in person for our Easter celebration for those who are able to be here. And for those who are not, we of course will share some type of video with those who cannot be here, and then with our many friends who participate through the hearing of these messages each week from all around the country. So those are my announcements. I do want to just also make note that this message here is a continuation of the other messages that we've had during the season of Lent. These are the final words from the cross, the final words of Jesus. We've been looking at those final words each and every week, and today is no different. So it's John's Gospel, chapter 19. This is after last week's final word where Jesus says, "I thirst." This is found in John's Gospel, chapter 19, verses 29 and 30. A jar full of sour wine was standing there. So they put a sponge full of the wine on a branch of hyssop, and they held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received the wine, he said, "It is finished." As a firefighter and now as a fire officer, I can tell you one of the most satisfying things that I hear is after a long call, after a long period of time being at a scene or at a structure fire, and then we all get back, and then you hear that voice come over the radio, the voice of my chief, or the voice of someone else, or perhaps even my own voice, keying up the radio and informing dispatch that all Faison units are back in the building, assignment complete. As we peel off our smoky turnout gear, hearing those words, assignment complete, brings about a good feeling of satisfaction. Assignment complete. In essence, that's what Jesus is saying here on the cross in John's Gospel with this week's final word. Assignment complete. It is finished. What Jesus is saying is that he had a mission on this earth. He was wrapped in human flesh to accomplish something. He lived the way that he lived to accomplish something, and he died the way that he died to accomplish something. And here in this moment on the cross, Jesus says, "It is finished. I've come to do something, and I have done it. Mission accomplished. Assignment complete. It is finished." But I ask you today, as you look out into this world that Jesus came to redeem, as you consider your own life, as you consider the things and the people that are around you, as you take it all in, all that exists that you are aware of, does it look like, does it seem like, does it feel like the assignment is complete? Does it look that way? You know, Jesus said, "It is finished," but he didn't say that it's over. It is finished. It is finished, but it's not over. You know, what is finished is Jesus's work on the cross, but the ongoing redeeming work, it's far from over, friends. Far from over. There's still victories to be won. God still has a mission in the world that is unfolding. It is finished, but it's not over. And God has made us, the church, the fellowship of believers, the followers of Jesus, the hands and feet of Christ. God has made us the not over. We are the not over. It is finished, but not over. Because God has empowered and enabled and equipped us to continue on in the redeeming work that Jesus started on the cross. So if you look out into the world, if you take note of your own life and all the things that you're aware of, and it seems as if the assignment is not complete, well, that's because the church hasn't embraced or lived into the fullness of their part of the mission yet. So the question then becomes, well, why? Like, what's the big hang up? And I think that it can really be summed up with one word: complacency. The church, especially in certain parts of the world that most of us are very familiar with, the church has become complacent. And as a result of that complacency, our priorities are out of whack, and we fail consistently to be the not over of the mission of God in the world. Complacency. Recognizing complacency is a lot like seeing smoke in a room. Complacency's a lot like seeing smoke in the room, or recognizing it is anyway. You know, the smoke thickens when we deprioritize matters of the church. When we don't watch the video or we don't show up in person when we have the ability to do so, the smoke thickens. You know, we put forth a little effort into actually praying or reading the Bible, because we say that we just don't know how, or it doesn't really do it for us, you know, and all the while, you know, the smoke thickens. We put forth very little effort into deepening our relationship with God and strengthening that relationship through the work of participating in studies or reading devotionals. That type of formative work we don't have time for because we're so busy with all these other things. And the smoke thickens. It thickens as we continue to go about this life in a way that deprioritizes our faith. And the smoke thickens until the point to where we can't see our way out. And then the church is in a mess. We're caught up in a complacency inferno. Smoke is fuel. Our complacency is fuel. And it's destroying the house of God all around the world. Because we don't feel as if we need to do that extra thing. We don't feel as if that it's important for us to love our neighbors or to care for the least and the last and the lost, or to go deeper with our own spiritual journey. I mean, the list can go on and on and on and on. It's one of these deals where, you know, we show up and say, well, preacher, I'm actually doing pretty good, you know. I give to the church. I show up here when I can, and you know, I don't need to be telling people about Jesus. That's what we pay you to do, and so on and so forth. And that's complacency. That's complacency. That's a negation of what God has called the church to do. When we start acting as if, you know, just showing up every now and then and putting a little money in the plate and giving the preacher a pat on the back because the preacher goes about telling people about Jesus, that's complacency. The church in America is not going to survive like that. Simply not. It's not. One of the worst things that you ever hear is when talking about the church with folks and people saying, I like things the way they are. Everything is fine. I like things the way they are. The way they've always been. Those are some famous last words. You know, one of my favorite quips of all time was Clarence Jordan talking about a church. He mentioned that they were founded in 1793 and they hadn't had a good idea since. I wonder if when Jesus was hanging there on the cross, dying for the salvation of the world, I wonder if he thought, you know what, I hope they're just barely good enough. The ones that I have shown the way to, I hope they just become content with the way things are even though it has been clearly set forth before them that there is still more work to do. I don't think Jesus would think that. As Jesus hung there on that cross, I think Jesus envisioned something far greater for his followers who would come to be known as the church. As Jesus sits at the right hand of God the Father Almighty, I believe Jesus still envisions far more for this fellowship of believers, for his body, the church. There is no room for complacency in our Christian practice, individually and certainly collectively. You know, friends, it is true. It is true. The work of the cross, it is finished. And praise God for that. Praise God for the work of Christ on that cross. It is finished. Jesus accomplished what needed to be accomplished. But it's still the case, friends, that it is finished, but it's not over. And we are that not over. There's so much work to be done. So much work to be done. And don't get me wrong, we don't have to do it all. But we must do something. God will provide us with what we need. God will give us whatever we need to do the work. And may God also take the complacency that plagues us individually and collectively, this complacency that traps us in a room full of smoke. May God take all that smoky complacency and dispel it from our lives. Our assignment is not complete.